The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. Happy Thursday morning, everybody. It is time for the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here. Hey, look, the internet didn't let us down today. Look at that. What a fun time. The internet not letting us down. Making sure that everything is working. Hey, everything is working perfectly. I want to give a shout out to my dude, Tommy Cananza, who tuned in. First comment of the day. You win love and adoration. That's what you win as you get the first comment of the day so far. A lot of stuff to talk about. Like I know that I have on the docket that we're going to be talking about the the NFC North. We're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers. Are they going to be able to repeat? Can Tampa Bay be better? A lot of issues going on in Tampa Bay. What about the Atlanta Falcons? Like, that's a tricky, good team that maybe people are looking at. And then can the Saints be a little bit better? But before we jump into that, I wanted to talk about Russell Westbrook retiring. And the reason why I want to talk about Russell Westbrook retiring is because where does he go down as one of the greatest of all time? Because we have to look at Russell Westbrook's entire career, his entire career, and think to ourselves, that dude was pretty damn amazing, right? Like, again, the first person to average a triple-double since Oscar Robertson was able to do it in the 1960s when they were playing against plumbers, as everyone out there would say, as the young kids would say. They were out there playing against plumbers. And I got to sit here and I got to think to myself, yeah, he never won a ring. Is the ring argument going to be the thing that stops people from saying that he was great? Like, objectively great? Is it always going to break down to the rings argument? How many rings did you win? Does he get a pass for playing in the Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry era? Because there were those guys winning championships, just the same way that we do it in the 90s, right? Where we say, yeah, those guys were great. Patrick Ewing was great. Charles Barkley was great, but they ran into a buzzsaw known as Michael Jordan, right? The early 2000s. Yeah, Chris Webber was great, but he ran into the Lakers, the Spurs, that amazing Pistons team, and then the comeuppance of those, Celtics and Lakers teams towards the ends of the 2010 or of the 20s. I guess the aughts would be the right way of saying it. Tommy saying, I don't like the dude, but he was great for a while there. He really was, wasn't he? Like, he was unstoppable. But my question to that would be, is it the Kevin Love treatment that he gets? You know what I mean? Remember, Kevin Love was a double-double machine. 20 points, 10 to 13 rebounds a game, sometimes 30 points and 15. Like, Kevin Love was amazing. But the Minnesota Timberwolves were a horrible team, and he was getting the ball a million times, right? Like he had the opportunities to be amazing. When Oklahoma City was only Russell Westbrook, they weren't a good team. They weren't ever looked at as a real genuine contender. Russell Westbrook was like, oh, okay, well, that guy's going to take over a game, gave us a bunch of amazing moments, right? Like, again, averaging a triple-double, and I want to say it was almost 3 straight seasons. I've got to, look into this. But the fact that his career, the individual numbers were that great, like that high of a peak. And I think what makes it seem a little odd, right, is that's a point guard doing all that stuff. What about, I guess what I'm trying to say is Russell Westbrook going out and getting the triple-double, doing all the stuff that he was doing, kind of makes Jokic's averaging a triple-double seem kind of just meh, right? Our guy Ray Jackson tuning in saying, good morning, boss. Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you also, my friend. You can check out what he's doing with the locally sourced El Paso podcast. He had Grizz and Iris from the Kiss FM show, the Kiss FM morning show, on with him this past week. Great stuff that you're doing out there, Ray. Keep it going, my dude. Trust me, as someone who does this stuff, I know how difficult it can be to keep it going. So keep going. Keep doing your thing. Augustine saying, oh, hey, look. There's graphics and everything today. I know. Look at that. Wow. Thank you, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, for allowing me to actually do my show. It's fun. Ray saying that the new episode drops tomorrow, so check it out. Locally sourced El Paso. Check out the podcast, the show that he's got going on. I'm excited to see that episode dropping tomorrow. We are talking about right now, Augustine, Russell Westbrook, the impact, the legacy of Russell Westbrook. I know you, Augustine. You are one of those rings guys. You're all about your rings. How many championships did you win at the end of the day? We can put that aside and say there was a time where Russell Westbrook absolutely dominated the NBA. Again, it could be, and maybe I'm just playing, talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. It could only be because Minnesota was bad, right? Kevin Love was great. Oklahoma City was bad. Russell Westbrook, was great. Augustine saying, Russell Westbrook? Who? Great player? It's great because I can hear Augustine's voice saying that, which I'm sure is a nightmare for Tommy. Tommy hears Augustine's voice and just starts, going into the fetal position. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. But you got to look at it, man. Leads the NBA in 31.6 points a game that year. 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists. So 32 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists a game. Westbrook was a great talent, but for some reason his brain never worked the right way. I can see that, but I want you to elaborate on that for me. I want to see if we're going in the right direction here. Tommy saying, you know it. Augustine saying, you live me, Tommy. It's supposed to be, you love me. The Cali Man 714 says, why does Russell Westbrook love going to the Brickyard? Because it's the only place where hitting nothing but iron is considered a productive day at work. That's a great joke. I was also going to make, I was hoping that you would make the joke of where Oklahoma City played was called Bricktown. And Russell Westbrook built Bricktown, brick by brick by brick. Or maybe I'm the only one that knows that much about Oklahoma City. My mom was an Okie, so I know way too much about Oklahoma City. But that was a good one. That was a good one, the Cali man. Thank you for tuning into the show. Hope, drop a follow. See, maybe you like what we're doing here. We're going to be talking sports most days. Most days, not all days, most days. Fire and Ice is back this weekend as well. Got to create a graphic for that. Fire and Ice back this weekend in the El Paso area. You want to come hang out with us over at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. Go check us out while we are over there. We're going to have former UTEP basketball player, former Italian League basketball player, Omar Thomas joining us on the show as well. We're going to talk about what he's doing, no longer with my Socorro Bulldogs. But we're going to be talking about that. That's where all the El Paso stuff goes to. People ask me, Tip, why don't you talk about El Paso sports on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton? How come you don't talk about the El Paso Chihuahuas? How come you don't talk about the El Paso Locomotive? And I say, because I have Fire and Ice for that. This show, broader audience, my guys. Got to be more than just El Paso, more than El Paso centric. I'm just saying Westbrook was always a great physical talent and basketball talent. But he, for some reason or another, made the wrong decision, both sports and personal. I don't know about the personal life. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. I don't know anything about Russell Westbrook's personal life, but I do know 100%. Making the right basketball decision was never his forte. I agree with you on that. Like everyone, the knock on LeBron James for so long was that LeBron always made the right basketball play. But then you have the selfish type, and I have no problem calling Russell Westbrook a selfish type of basketball player. You have him who consistently would put me over we, right? Like that was the type of player that Russell Westbrook was. We can't win unless I'm out here doing it all. And just like in most workplaces, it doesn't work that way. And that's going to be the reason why I believe that Russell Westbrook is kind of looked at with a little bit of a side eye, right? Like, yeah, he was great, but, and then that caveat is going to go on forever. The Cali man saying, I'm watching your content from all the way from Orange, California. I got you, just subbed. Appreciate you, my dude. Nothing but love for you. Oh, in a couple of weeks. Okay, so just so you know, Cali man, we are going to be breaking down each division over the next couple of weeks, right? Like this week, earlier in the week was the AFC North or the AFC South. Our Jacksonville Jaguars, our second favorite team on this show, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We broke down the AFC South. Today we're going to be breaking down the NFC South. Let's see how it goes, but we're going to be doing division by division over the next couple of weeks. Next week is going to be the AFC and NFC North. The week after that, the NFC and AFC West. So be sure to tune in for that. Maybe you can give it. I'm assuming since you're in Orange County, you got to have some kind of love for either the Rams or the Chargers, or maybe something that I learned. Apparently, LA loves the Dallas Cowboys, which I am not hating on. As you can see, all the stuff behind me, Dallas Cowboys centric over here. Tommy saying, look at you, Mike. Your fame is going national. LOL. Tommy, do you forget on X, like half of my followers on X are from Cleveland for some strange reason. I love it. I absolutely love it. And on Instagram, I have no idea what the demographics on Instagram are. Go check all that out. Obviously saying it's not that Russell Westbrook was a basketball hogger. Westbrook just made bad decisions. It's good to take responsibility of the last shot or such. But throughout his career, he made bad decisions at the bad time. I mean, I understand what you're saying, like not so much of a ball hog, but he really was. Because you have to know who you are as a player, right? Russell Westbrook pulling up from three for a game winner, he might have hit a couple of those in his career, but how many of those did he take that was unnecessary? Where Russell Westbrook's strength was drive to the basket. At that point, when he was averaging a triple-double, the entire defense was going to get sucked in around him. Drive to the basket, dish out, and try to have somebody else make a basket for you. It's like they say, right? Like Jordan didn't become great until Jordan learned how to trust his teammates. And it's a shame to sit here and think that Russell Westbrook played 18 seasons in the NBA and never learned how to trust his teammates. It's wild. Like to me, it really is wild. Because that's what basketball is. Like, you have to be able to trust your teammates. You got a guy like LeBron, again, one of the greatest of all time, LeBron, who's able to make the right decision at the right time, still get his, and, have the amazing career that he's had. What Russell Westbrook is going to be looked at from now on as like one of those what if kind of guys. What if he had left Oklahoma City like James Harden did, like Kevin Durant did? I think the biggest what if is going to be, what if those guys didn't leave Oklahoma City? Imagine if Oklahoma City had ran it back one more time, right? They could have had it. They could have had that magic there. I know it would have been difficult, but we've seen teams like the LA Clippers circumvent the salary cap as many ways possible. Oklahoma could have found a way. Oklahoma City could have found a way to keep those guys together. I was just saying he was part of a real super team in OKC. Early on he was. But the second James Harden left, that team wasn't the same. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, James Harden is this, James Harden is that. Say what you will about James Harden. He is one of the just best pure scorers we've ever seen in basketball. Whether it's from the free throw line, I know that's going to be the caveat. He was a free throw merchant. If we can sit here and you as NBA fans can glaze Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the way that he plays, then you need to be glazing James Harden for the way that he plays, because it's the exact same guy. The exact same guy. Sorry. Getting mad here. I don't think James Harden gets the respect he deserves, but maybe that's just me as a lefty looking out for my fellow lefties, right? I'm always going to be that guy. That's why I'm excited about talking about the NFC West coming up here or the NFC South rather, coming up here in just a little bit on the show. Russell Westbrook's legacy, what's it going to be? To me, one of the best physically talented basketball players we have ever seen. But definitely an underachiever whenever you think about the team accolades. And that's what you kind of want to see from your guys, is those team accolades. Being able to build up the team, being able to do all the things with the team that you want those guys to see, that you want those guys to be a part of. Augustine going deep, deep into basketball lore, saying Mark Aguirre was a free throw hog. I will be honest, as deep as my basketball knowledge is, I don't really remember watching a lot of Mark Aguirre. I remember Mark Aguirre on I want to say the Dallas Mavericks towards the end of his career, but not, the Mark Aguirre that was on the Mavericks before he went to the Pistons and won some championships, right? Like, I remember an old washed Mark Aguirre. Augustine saying Westbrook, the player that never was. I don't know if you can say that though, man. He averaged a triple-double. What was it, 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row? That's effing impressive. Like, it really is. You can't sit there and be like, oh, he was a player that never was. Again, he didn't win championships, but he won. Did he win an MVP? I have to look that up. Dealing with a migraine now, guys. You know me and my migraines. Just the constant battle of me and migraines at all points in time. I was going to do something right now, but I realized not the right time. Tommy, look at me. I'm paying attention to what you got going on in your life. You got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Tommy, to get to where you got to be. Okay, so I want to talk, before we get into the NFC and all that, how much stock do we put into preseason? Right? Like, I know last week a lot of people were super happy. Oh my God, football's back. We had the Hall of Fame game. Adam Vinatieri with a great Hall of Fame speech. Drew Brees, Luke Kuechly, all them get into the Hall of Fame. Decent, right? It was a fun time. The Hall of Fame stuff was a fun time. But how much stock do we put into the preseason? Because today we have, again, preseason football. The Cincinnati Bengals, I believe, are playing. I can't remember who they're playing against, but I know the Bengals are playing. Got to put my glasses on because I'm old and I can't see anymore. There we go. Cincinnati and Detroit. Later on today. Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Later on today. We got a lot of games today. Holy shit, I thought it was just one. Indiana at New England. The Chargers in Houston. Then Arizona and Las Vegas. Woof, who's going to be watching that game? Then San Francisco and Tennessee. Tommy's saying, yes, it is back. The NFL finally back. Our guy Tommy can be the happiest guy he's ever been. It's when the NFL comes back and the birth of his children. Those are the happiness scales for Tommy. And it's only because you only give birth once, right? Like you see that moment once, twice, maybe, it depends on how many kids you have, but a handful of times you see that. Every single year you get the NFL back. And no offense, children out there of the world, spouses, other people like that. I've been in love with the franchise that I love since I was a small child, right? I've been a Dallas Cowboys fan for as long as I can remember. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's the dumbest thing that's ever happened in my life. But that is the longest term relationship that I have because I still don't speak to my parents very often. My mother died, 12 years ago? I don't speak to my siblings all that much, but the Dallas Cowboys have always been there. Thank you, Dallas Cowboys, because I know one thing for sure is you're going to let me down at the end of the year. And I'm happy with that. My barometer is that the Dallas Cowboys are going to let me down. And if they win, like if they're halfway decent, I'm a happy guy, right? Like I'm always playing with house money. I've seen my team win 3 championships. Yes, I'm old. I've seen my team win 3 championships. I'm good, right? How many people in their lifetime could say that their favorite NFL team has won 3 championships? Right? Not very many. Augustine could say 6 for him because he's a Patriots fan. But let's say you're a lifelong Detroit Lions fan. You've never seen a championship. Tommy agrees with me on that. Tommy says, I watch every play of every game, preseason or not. I'm a football junkie, just in my veins. I pay attention to the whole roster from first string to the practice squad. There we go, man. I love it. I love it. That's what I love, man. I love it. Augustine saying, what a game yesterday. Champions League final winner versus Europa League winner. Paris Saint-Germain beats Unai Emery's Aston Villa with a great performance from Kvara. Is that the way that you say it? Like Guevara? Like Guevara almost, but like Kvara? Huh. I remember when I cared about soccer, Augustine. It's every home game Saturday and Wednesday. And it's the couple of weeks that the World Cup was in the United States. Once again, like I said, when it's out of my time zone, when it's out of my ability to just watch it on my time, I don't care. And I did love, again, for those that don't know, I work at a baseball stadium. We have a big Jumbotron, all that good stuff, right? I did love putting the World Cup games on that big-ass Jumbotron and just having a good old time. Augustine asking, do you remember those championships? Of course I do, man. I was 8 years old whenever they won it. I guess 7 because it was in January, right? But in 1992, then 8 years old in 1993, then, no, I guess I'm trying to think of how this went. Because I was 11 the last time they won, so I had to have been 8, 9, 10, they didn't win it. 11, they did win it. So, yes, I do remember those championships. I actually have some really cool memories with that. Because again, in my entire family, the youngest of 11, I've got 60 plus nieces and nephews, all of that nonsense, right? Like that's how I grew up. Big ass family, no room. Big family, small house, no room, right? And some of the like core memories I have of like what brought me my fandom into sports was there was a time where I'm a quiet guy, mostly reserved all the time, and I wasn't super loud or any of that stuff. So whenever I watched the Super Bowl, it would just be me 90% of the time, just me at my parents' house. We didn't have a big ass TV or any of that stuff. We had like one of those old TVs that sat down on the floor, and I'd be on the floor in front of the TV. We didn't have cable, so we only had those channels, and that's how I got to watch the NFL, right? And I remember for the last Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl that they won back in 1996, I'm sitting on the floor in our, living room, and my mom made like a homemade bean dip for me, and she bought some chips. And whenever my mom bought like anything that was like name brand, it was a big occasion in my family, right? And she bought like the brand new Tostitos chips. And I was like, oh my God, like these are Tostitos. This is going to be the most amazing thing in the world. And like a homemade bean dip, right? And that memory always stuck with me. That was like one of my favorite childhood sports memories. As dumb as it sounds, is watching the Super Bowl with my mom, who was asleep the entire time, eating a bean dip that she made for me, right? Like that is a core memory for me as a sports fan, because I didn't get to do a lot of sports as a kid, right? I think I remember telling y'all, 1992, we're moving mobile homes and doing all that stuff, right? I had to get a radio TV combo that we got from a repossessed mobile home, because we had to like take the mobile home apart, and this radio fell out of like an area, probably had drugs in it at one point, I'm sure. But like, I remember plugging this thing in and being like, oh my God, this radio has a TV on it. And the screen's like smaller than that on my cell phone. But like, that's how I would watch baseball games on Fox on like Saturdays and Sundays and stuff, right? That's how like I started watching sports, was that little appreciation from a screen yay big that was in black and white. I watched Jim Abbott pitch a no-hitter on a small screen that was black and white, and I fell in love with the New York Yankees at that point in time. A one-armed lefty. Oh my God, dude. Augustine saying the player's name, Jesus, dude. I am not. I'm not even like, you have fun pronouncing that. Tommy's saying that he remembers all of the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowls. The way it should be, man. The way it should be. Augustine saying, dude, that was probably the best bean dip you ever had. 100%. 100%. Love it, man. Like those are the things that make you love sports, right? Like those little memories, those core memories of sports. We didn't have a lot growing up, man. So being able to have like that bean dip, and my mom actually buying the brand name chips, oh my God. It was a huge moment. That's how I knew the Super Bowl was a huge moment in time. I genuinely watched. Wow, it feels just like the last Spurs championship I watched. I watched the Super Bowl by myself, but at least my mom was in the room. Right? Like that's how it was for me. You know, sleep on the couch, but at least she was in the room. At least whenever I watched the Spurs win a championship, I was by myself in Alaska. There was a reason. There was an excuse for it, right? I was by myself in Alaska. That's also hilarious that you can sit there and say, yeah, I watched my favorite team win a championship when I lived in Alaska. What a wild life I've lived. Oh, man. I don't even know what the hell got us on those conversations. But yes, does anyone care about the preseason with the NFL? Tommy says he does. I was listening to ESPN a little bit earlier today, and they were talking about, the possibility that Joe Burrow could get hurt in this preseason game, because Joe Burrow is going to play a couple of snaps in this preseason game. And how dare you risk Joe Burrow getting hurt? And they were like, it means more if you get hurt in the regular season than if you get hurt in the preseason. And to me, I'm like, I don't think there's a good time or a bad time to get hurt. It just sucks that you got hurt, right? I don't know, though. But maybe people love the preseason because it's just the tip of the NFL season.
I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for
Just the Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
Just the Tip and the preseason of the NFL is brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. Check them out today, guys. Whether you're new to this show or you've been a longtime listener of this show, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you are clearly a masochist. But thank you for being a part of the Tip Nation, for being one of the tip heads that are out there, for being a tippy, all the tippies that are out there. Thank you so much. Well, we are brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. Check them out today. They've got everything you need. We are in the throes of summer. We got Cali Man over in California. We're all over here in El Paso, Texas, where it's hotter than Satan's nutsack right now. And we've got all the humidity out there, which means you're just getting caked in duck butter down in your lower regional area. Your dick is what I'm talking about. Your cock and balls is what I'm talking about. Tried to get through that without laughing. Get the comfort powder, the comfort cream, slather it all over you, boys, and you're going to be good. You're going to be comfortable for the whole remainder of the day. No matter how hot it gets, I know I'm comfortable because I went and I got www.myhappynuts.com comfort cream. And I took a shower with the Big Wood body wash. So I smell amazing. I feel great. And my nuts are the happiest they've ever been. www.myhappynuts.com. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout and save on all of your male grooming needs. That was probably one of the worst ones that I've done. But it was fun. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. Tommy's saying LMAO right on time. I'm glad you got it right on time, dude. Hey, no kids in the car, the way that it should be. Tommy's saying, or Augustine saying that he's in Mexico right now. Hey, no matter where you are, it's hot. It's muggy. You don't want it to be that way. Thank God there are no kids. I thought about that, Tommy, as I got like halfway through what I was saying. I was like, holy shit, I hope he like dropped his kids off. I'm sure you could look, but like you can go back and watch this. I looked down at the bottom of my computer screen to be like, okay, it's 8:31. I hope that kid is out of the car right now. All right. So just like we did on Monday, we are going to go over everything that happened in the NFC South this past season, right? You had three teams that finished 8-9. The Panthers, the Buccaneers, and the Atlanta Falcons. The NFC South to me is always one of these divisions that's hard to watch. Yes, it was fun. You got to love whenever a division is competitive like that. But you also kind of knew that there was no shot in hell that any of those teams, no matter who won, was going to be any sort of successful in the playoffs. You kind of hoped that they would because you got friends that root for those fan bases, but you also in the back of your mind knew there's just no way in hell this is going to happen. But whenever you look at some of the storylines that surround these teams, you get back, you got to sit back and think to yourself, okay, Bryce Young, just 2 years ago, was looked at as a huge bust, right? Like, and nobody wanted Bryce Young around. He almost lost his job to Andy Dalton, and if not for a car accident where Andy Dalton like sprains his thumb, Bryce Young is more than likely riding the bench the rest of that season, and God knows what Bryce Young's career is right now. But last year he has a career year. Yes, it was a short, it's a short career that he's had so far, but he's got, something, right? 3,000 yards, a little over 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You'd like to see the interception rate go down. 188.2 yards a game passing. Not great. You kind of want to see more there, right? The next step for him would be 3,500 to 4,000 yards passing, 30 tutties, 25 to 30 tutties, and under 10 interceptions, right? Like that's what you would like to see from Bryce Young going forward. You had to think to yourself, wow, this team, they were kind of a running team, right? Chuba Hubbard had a little bit of a resurgence. Rico Dowdle, another 1,000-yard season for him, 1,076 yards, 6 touchdowns, but no longer with Carolina. And it makes you think, again, the devaluing of the running back, right? Yeah, we saw Jonathan Taylor sign a huge contract. But the devaluing of the running back, that's a 1,000-yard running back, back-to-back seasons with 1,000 yards, and going to be on his third team in 3 years is Rico Dowdle because he signed with Pittsburgh this offseason. You sit there and you say to yourself, the Carolina Panthers, a young team, right? You got the young quarterback, a young wide receiver with Tet McMillan, 70 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns in his rookie season. That's some great stuff, man. Like the building blocks are there. Obviously, you sit back and you look at that division. The NFC South is, yeah. I could have swore I said Pittsburgh Steelers, but maybe I said somebody else. But yeah, Rico Dowdle, third team in 3 years, which is wild to me. It's absurd, right? Like a 1,000-yard back. Augustine asking, is 1,000 yards a big deal? Would it now be 1,200 yards? 1,000 yards is a big deal because there's a lot of teams out there that didn't get a 1,000-yard rusher. A lot of them. So let's look at who the Carolina Panthers lost in free agency. We already mentioned it. Rico Dowdle going over to Pittsburgh on a 2-year, $12 million deal. They lose a defensive lineman. Ashawn Robinson goes over to Tampa Bay. They lose an offensive lineman. Cade Mays goes over to Detroit. They lose another edge rusher going over to Detroit and G.J. Wanham. Christian Rosenboom, the linebacker, goes over to Tampa Bay. They lost a lot of people to Tampa Bay and Detroit. That's wild, right? But nobody major, right? Like when the biggest free agent you lose is only $25 million and it's an offensive lineman, you kind of feel good about that, right? So who'd they sign? Did they go out there and they sign anybody that makes you feel happy? Well, they went out and they got Jalen Phillips, edge rusher from the Philadelphia Eagles. And you got to remember that Philadelphia Eagles defensive line was fantastic. 4-year, $120 million for Jalen Phillips. Glad to see that he's not in the NFC East anymore. Then they go out and they get a great linebacker from the Jacksonville Jaguars in Devin Lloyd. A 3-year, $42 million deal. And then just a bunch of other guys out there. They got Kenny Pickett. You know, you got a ton of dudes for like $4 million and less, right? Like, these aren't going to be guys that you are going to see tearing a whole bunch of stuff up. Like John Michie, right? Like that's not going to be great. You still kind of, okay, well, they got a little better on defense. What are we going to do to make up for the loss of Rico Dowdle? Do we have another target that we can give Bryce Young to help out Tet McMillan? In the first round, they get an offensive lineman, Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, so it's not bad. They get who I think is one of the best defensive linemen in the draft, which was Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech in the second round. Then they get a third-round wide receiver, Chris Brazel from Tennessee, Will Lee the third from Texas A&M, the cornerback, a center to help out the offensive line in the 5th round, safety in the 5th round, linebacker in the 7th round. Nothing major there, right? It doesn't seem like they did the necessary steps to go and take a huge leap forward. But again, in the NFC South, we just saw it. You can have a losing record and win that division. So if they go 9-8 this year, that's an improvement, right? 10-7 this year, that's an improvement. They could probably win the division there. But did they do enough? Well, let's see what the other teams did. Let's go over to the second place team in that division, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, with an 8-9 record, Baker Mayfield, 3,600 yards, almost 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You want to see the interceptions drop down a little bit, but Baker Mayfield is a gunslinging quarterback. He is what he is. You take the good with the bad. Bucky Irving got 500 yards, 588 yards this year, 1 touchdown. Rashad White, 572 yards, 4 touchdowns. Between the two of them, they almost had as many touchdowns as Rico Dowdle did with the Carolina Panthers. Then Emeka Egbuka emerged as a great wide receiving option for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 63 receptions, 938 yards, 6 tutties, right? Then you look at the flip side of that coin. We all associate one guy with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their success, and that's Mike Evans. Well, Mike Evans is now a San Francisco 49er, which terrifies me as a Dallas Cowboys fan that he is in San Francisco. I just hope that Brock Purdy is still dog shit. They lose Mike Evans to San Francisco in free agency. They lose their cornerback, Jamel Dean, in free agency as well. Defensive lineman, Logan Hall, they lose him, and then a bunch of other guys that don't necessarily matter, but they also lost Rachaad White, their second leading running back. They lose him to the Washington Commanders. So what do they do to combat this? What do we do to make sure we get better at what we're doing? They signed a shit ton of people. They re-signed tight end Cade Otton, give him a 3-year, $30 million deal. Nothing splashy, right? They get Alex Anzalone from the Detroit Tigers, help out that linebacking core. Great job there. I love me some Alex Anzalone. A 2-year, $17 million contract. They get Kenneth Gainwell, who led the Pittsburgh Steelers in rushing and in receptions last year because Aaron Rodgers is a dump-down kind of guy now. They signed Kenneth Gainwell to a 2-year, $14 million deal. Then a couple of other guys to like 1-year deals. Nothing to write home about, right? But they kind of fixed some of the problems they had, right? Like they lose a linebacker, they sign a linebacker. To me, probably a better linebacker. They lose a running back, they get a running back, and Kenneth Gainwell. You put Kenneth Gainwell and Bucky Irving back there, that's going to be fun, right? But you lost Mike Evans. And that's a huge one to me. That is a huge one to me, losing Mike Evans at the heart and soul of your team, basically. What do they do in the draft? What did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do in the draft? They got who I thought was the best edge rusher in the draft, which was Ruben Bain out of Miami to help out that defensive line. Again, we're looking at what all these teams are doing. They're focusing in on defense. Anzalone and now Ruben Bain. And the second round, what do? They go out and they get a linebacker. Once again, focusing in on defense. They get Jeremiah Trotter out of Missouri. Then you get Ted Hurst III out of Georgia State in the third round as a wide receiving option. I guess maybe, right? Like you've got Emeka Egbuka. I believe you still have Chris Godwin. What is that lineup going to look like, right? You still got Baker Mayfield. And we all know if you're in a close game in the fourth quarter and Baker Mayfield's your guy, you got a chance. I'm a firm believer in that one. You've got a chance if Baker Mayfield's your guy. Keontae Scott, the cornerback out of Miami. Deontay Capehart out of Clemson. Billy Sherroth out of Notre Dame, an offensive lineman in the 5th round. And then Bauer Sharp, a tight end out of LSU. You got Cade Otton there. You should be all right. I agree with you here, Tommy. Tommy says he feels like the Bucs take the South this year. I know that they lost Mike Evans, but I feel like Emeka Egbuka is ready to fill that role. He filled that role last year, right? Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year lost a lot of really close games. There was a ton of injuries. It felt like they would get somebody back and somebody would, go down. If Baker Mayfield stays healthy, and I know that's always the big caveat, right? Like that's the biggest if in the world. If. And then Tommy was asking that age-old question right there. Did they give Baker Mayfield his contract? They haven't yet. Okay, Augustine said that he sent me the pronunciation of this guy's name, but I will try to say it, okay? Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia. Maybe I'm close there. Tommy's saying Baker plays hurt. He's a dog. Oh, I know. And that's the thing that always pissed me off about some stuff, right? Like with the Cleveland Browns, whenever Cleveland got rid of him for Deshaun Watson, of all people. Baker Mayfield plays hurt for the Cleveland Browns, and for whatever reason, the Browns are like, you know what, get the hell out of here. Tommy's saying that he knows that Baker was not happy over his contract issues a few weeks ago with the Bucs. I know. And it's been very, very vocal about that. I'm trying to see here if they've got something going on. He signed a 3-year, $100 million deal in March 2024, but he still does not have a new contract. Augustine saying Baker Mayfield is an amazing quarterback, so underrated. I agree 100%. I will never understand the Baker Mayfield hate. Maybe it's, the small ties to Texas Tech and Oklahoma. He has a $39.975 million cap hit this year, but this is the end of his contract. This is the end of the contract. If you're Tampa Bay and you want to move on from Baker Mayfield, the question there is, who do you go get? Like who in free agency do you go and try to get? I'm going to look right now. We're going to see what happens in 2027. Who is going to be an available quarterback maybe in 2027? So these are the available quarterbacks coming up, barring anything crazy in 2027. Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, Anthony Richardson, Marcus Mariota, Davis Mills, Joe Flacco, Jared Stidham, Gardner Minshew, Mac Jones, Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, of all people, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Geno Smith, Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor, Trey Lance, Sam Howell, Drew Lock, Will Levis, Nick Mullins, Sam Ellinger, Josh Johnson, Brandon Allen, Joshua Dobbs, Zach Wilson. I'm going over this list, hoping and praying that maybe, just maybe, there'll be a guy. Kyler Murray, maybe? Oh, yeah. Out of that entire list of garbage, like now we're in the Aiden O'Connell, Sean Clifford, Sam Hartman area of things. Augustine saying if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're an idiot. And goes on to say none of those quarterbacks that we mentioned, but Kenny Pickett needs a real chance. I think Kenny Pickett's okay. I don't think he's nearly as bad as a lot of other people were trying to make it seem that he is. Kenny Pickett's all right. He's not, not a world beater or anything of that nature. I think he's going to be one of those just career backups, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. He can be, Josh McCown. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's more or less who he's going to be. But if you're Tampa Bay and you're going to walk away from Baker Mayfield, that's the free agent class. You're more than likely not going to be bad enough to have a top 10 pick to go out there and get one of the quarterbacks in the draft. And then if that's the case, do you really want to build that way, right? Like you got to assess where you are as a team. You're a fringe playoff team. You can win the division this year. More than likely should win the division this year. But are you good enough to really do anything of note? They're in that weird-ass purgatory area that everyone knows I hate. All right. But I agree with you, Tommy. I could see a scenario where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win that division. Now let's go to a team that I think is interesting, to say the least. I genuinely do. Because I feel like they have the best overall talent whenever you look at the Atlanta Falcons. Went 8-9 last year. Third team in the division because of obviously the record and tiebreakers and all that non-stuff. Michael Penix Jr. comes in for Kirk Cobangs. Gets almost 2,000 yards. Gets 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 220 yards a game. Okay, maybe nothing great to write home about, but it was half a season that he played, right? Bijan Robinson goes out there, gets 1,400, almost 1,500 yards, 9 tutties, 79 receptions, 820 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So a total of 13 touchdowns and 2,200 plus yards, almost 2,300 yards for Bijan Robinson. Then you finally had Kyle Pitts emerge with all the talent that we know he has. 928 yards, 5 tutties for him. Drake London, 919 yards, 7 tutties for him. You see the talent there with the Atlanta Falcons. You know that offense should be good. So maybe his offensive line wasn't great, right? Kirk Cousins probably shouldn't have been the guy to begin with. Michael Penix is there, a lefty, right? Like a lot of times we don't like left-handed quarterbacks for whatever reason. Being left-handed, I don't understand it. But you can see, okay, the building blocks are there. This is an 8-9 team, vastly underachieved. But you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London, you have Bijan Robinson. You just need a guy, right? Like just somebody there at quarterback. Maybe Michael Penix can be that option. So what do they do in free agency? What did the Atlanta Falcons do in free agency? They did a shit ton. They go out and they get Jahan Dotson, a wide receiver, probably not, huge name, whatever. They get Nick Folk, kicker. Probably helps them out because Younghoe Koo, kept missing a ton of kicks last year, right? Lost a lot of games because the kicker was bad. They get Jawan Taylor, help out the offensive line. They go and they get Olamide Zaccheaus, which you guys know, I love me some Olamide Zaccheaus. Going to be able to take the top off. Right now you got options. Drake London's going to be your Keyshawn Johnson kind of guy, right? Possession, tutties, that's what Drake London is going to be, along with Kyle Pitts. They go and they get who I think is one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL in Austin Hooper. They go out, they get Cam Thomas, an edge rusher. They're doing stuff, right? They're doing these things to try to help them out. A lot of help along the offensive and defensive line. They go out and they get Brian Robinson. So you got Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson along the running back core there, helping out. They get Cooper Rush as another backup quarterback. Oh, and by the way, they also signed Tua Tagovailoa. I know a lot of people are going to give me some shit. They're going to raise an eyebrow, say, what are you talking about, Mike? I love this signing of them getting Tua Tagovailoa because it's so hard to get used to how the ball comes out of a left-handed quarterback's hands and then go to a right-handed quarterback. We've seen that happen a ton. So if you can have 2 lefty quarterbacks as your backup, even if Tua is the backup, at least it keeps some stuff there. And if I'm Tua, this is a much better situation than what I had in Miami. A much better situation than what I had in Miami. Maybe Tua pushes Penix, right? It should be interesting. Who did they lose? They lose a linebacker, Caden Ellis, 3-year deal to the New Orleans Saints. They lose Kirk Cousins to the Raiders. Oh no. Tyler Algier, which I thought was a decent running back, they lose him 2 years to the Cardinals, so that's the end of his career. But again, like no one really huge. It's not like a huge loss that they have for the Atlanta Falcons. What do we do in the draft with the Atlanta Falcons, you may be asking? Augustin says, tip for a professional athlete, left hand, right hand doesn't matter. Trust me, it does. Especially for your offensive linemen that are out there guarding the blind side of the quarterback. If it's a left-handed quarterback, your right tackle needs to be the guy, the main guy. So now if you switch that over and you get yourself a right-handed quarterback, your left tackle is the weaker of the offensive lineman. That's now the blind side of the quarterback, and that's going to be rushed more often, right? Like we've got to look at it from that aspect of it. And I assure you, the ball flies out at a different angle. It is huge. It is a huge deal. Maybe basketball, baseball, not so much, but in the NFL, it is a huge deal. That's why you don't see a lot of left-handed quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken. There have been a grand total of 8 left-handed quarterbacks that started games in the NFL. 8. If you're telling me it doesn't matter, then there should have been a lot more. The Falcons didn't have a first-round pick, but they spent a second-round pick on Avion Terrell out of Clemson, which I think is a really good pickup for them. They go and they get Zachariah Branch out of Georgia, Kendall Daniels out of Oklahoma State as a linebacker, Ontario Thompson, defensive tackle out of Washington State, Harold Parkins Jr., a linebacker out of LSU. Look at what they're focusing on is that defense. That defense. Real quick, let's look at what the New Orleans Saints had going on for them. 6-11, but they got some spark in them, dude. 6-11, right? But Tyler Shuck, was 5-4 as their starter. 6 wins, 11 losses, but 5 wins under Tyler Shuck. It's like he came in and rejuvenated them a little bit, right? Alvin Kamara, you could think, okay, yeah, he's at the end of his career, great career for Alvin Kamara, but it's just not there. Chris Olave, finally a healthy season for Chris Olave. Nothing, too amazing with the New Orleans Saints whenever it comes to the free agent signings and stuff like that. They get DeMario Davis. They get Alontae Taylor. They're helping out that defense. They get Foster Monroe. Like it's nothing great. Then you look at the draft that they had. They get Jordan Tyson, a wide receiver out of Arizona State, to go alongside Chris Olave. I like that pick. Helping out the defense with a second-round pick with Christian Miller. Great job, defensive tackle. You want to help stop the run, especially as you look at these teams that have a solid running game in the NFC South. Helping out the offensive line, getting Jeremiah Wright out of Auburn. Right? Like they did enough. They did enough. We look at the NFC South. We look at the NFC South and we can say, this division is up for grabs, right? You had all 4 teams within 2 games of each other. That's how close this division was last year. I can see Carolina taking a bit of a step back. I can see Tampa Bay taking a step forward. I can see Atlanta taking a step forward. And I can definitely see New Orleans taking a step forward. I'm going to take a flyer right now and say I believe the Atlanta Falcons are the best team in that division. Obviously, it's like saying you're the tallest little person, but at least you're the best team in a division. You make it to the playoffs. Anything can happen. More than likely not, but anything can happen. Figuratively, anything can happen. So I'm putting my faith loosely, like I have been over the last couple of years, in Drake London, in Kyle Pitts. I met Drake London at the NFL draft in 2022. Great dude. I want to see them be successful. Plus, we're doing it out there for the lefties. Augustine's saying that left-handed people are weird. Yes, we are. And then Augustine also says, we can say that the NFC South stinks. Stinks a little bit. It really does. It really does stink a little bit. All right, what do y'all think? Who's winning that division? Who's winning the NFC South? Let me know. Obviously, it'll have to be at another time, but just let me know. Who do you think is going to be winning the NFC South? I think all the teams took a little bit of a step forward. All of them took a little bit of a step forward. But I can say, if there was a team that looks like they took a little bit of a step back, it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. Losing Rico Dowdle, to me, is huge. And it's going to show. It's going to show. Tommy says he's got the Bucs. I can see why he could say he's got the Bucs. So, hey, I'm happy with that. All right, y'all. Tomorrow, Friday, a TIP VIP Friday. Maybe Augustine joins the show. Maybe Tommy joins the show. Who knows? We're going to see how it goes, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all tomorrow. Have yourselves a great Thursday, y'all. Maybe I'll see you at the ballpark today.